Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we've got a Christmas treat, or like an Arbor Day treat or something if you're not watching this video when it's released. Today, we're talking about the king of Survivor, Team TV himself, Tony Vlachos, and his 5 best moves made across 3 seasons of Survivor. And in the interest of fairness, we'll also be covering Tony's single worst move ever, because hey, no one's perfect. Wonder what season that'll be from. Perhaps best known for his manic, mile-a-minute gameplay, various spy shacks, spy bunkers, and spy nests, and llama translation skills, Tony became a bona fide Survivor legend, new school or not, the second he won Survivor Cagayan, playing one of the highest octane games in Survivor history. And he became even legendier when he returned for Winners at War, and against insane odds, not only won again, but also even made us cry. From season 28 to season 40, let's count down Tony's 5 best and single worst moves ever.
I'm sorry, I don't talk llama. I'm supposed to talk llama to you.
Tony's 5th best move is blindsiding LJ in Survivor Cagayan. In Cagayan, Tony had a solid majority alliance at the merge of himself, Trish, Wu, LJ, Jeffra, and Cass. And just 2 rounds after he and LJ played idols on each other, Tony's itching to eliminate LJ, who he correctly views as his biggest jury competition within his alliance. It didn't really come across on TV all that well, but LJ was a major social and strategic threat, an extremely underrated Survivor player, and kind of the yin to Tony's yang. Whereas Tony was a manic and anxiety-inducing force at camp, LJ was a calming presence whose intensity never rose above, like, a 3.5 out of 10. If that. And now with a solid 6-3 majority, Tony's ready to start doing the old Sesternino flip-flop, to help him bend the truth with more conviction and to give himself an out if he gets caught. Tony talks with LJ and leads him right into admitting that he'd like to take out Wu sometime down the road, and to admit that Wu is indeed a big threat. That's all the ammo Tony needs to build his case against LJ, taking that information to Wu, who buys it hook, line, and sinker, and flips with him. Using the Minority Alliance's votes as well, Tony successfully pulls off a blindside against the only other person who had the social capital to marshal the troops in any meaningful way, all under the false pretense of it being justified to save Wu. Wow, a cop falsifying evidence? Now I've seen everything. Tony's 4th best move is saving himself from extortion in Survivor Winners at War.
The advantage is a real disadvantage, and it's extorted me for 6 tokens.
What?
Episode 11 of Winners at War is probably the single greatest episode performance of any Survivor player in history, and it's in large part due to Tony's ability to navigate around an extreme disadvantage that was literally impossible to anticipate. On the edge of extinction, Natalie and Parvati earned the ability to extort any player in the game proper. They get to choose anyone in the game to deliver as many fire tokens as they think they can get, or else that person has to sit out the next immunity challenge and gets no vote at the next tribal council. When Tony notices the extortion clue in his bag the next morning, he can barely contain his excitement.
Oh my god. Extortion. Oh my god. First word I read is extortion. This is great.
He thought this was an advantage being sent to him from the edge. But instead, Nat and Parv went full Tony Soprano here, extorting Tony for a ridiculous 6 fire tokens, of which he only has 3. This could not come at a worse time for Tony, who was in the midst of planning a game-changing flip on his majority alliance this very round. As proof of just how great Tony's social game is, he collects a token apiece from Ben, Nick, and Jeremy, who's literally the target this round, with ease. This is what Tony does best. He had both alliances utterly convinced he was really working with them, to the point that he was able to convince players that acting against their best interest is actually the right move. Another super underrated part of this move is that when Michelle asks to take the extortion note to show to Jeremy, Tony doesn't hesitate at all and just hands it to her as a sign of complete trust. even though she's outside his alliance. It paid dividends immediately for Tony, who won immunity and pulled off the blindside of the season, which we'll get to shortly. The extortion advantage is an all-time screw over by production, but Tony is so good at Survivor, he overcame it without issue, and pulled off a grift that would make snake oil salesmen everywhere jealous. Tony's third best move is blindsiding Sophie to draw Sarah closer to him in Survivor Winners at War. Now, for part 2 of Tony's Episode 11 Hall of Fame-worthy gameplay. In Winners at War, Tony wisely laid low for the first half of the game, having learned from his extremely early exit in Game Changers that you don't go full Tony until at least the merge. And despite being one of the biggest targets going into the season, and most of the bigger names getting targeted early, it worked! But I'm pretty sure that there's some law of physics out there that says you can only contain this much energy for so long. At the final 9, Tony had a pretty solid majority with basically everyone on the tribe except for Michelle and Jeremy. And with him having immunity this round and his alliance splitting the votes, he has a unique opportunity to flip and blindside Sophie right out of the game. And all he needs is Nick to join him. But Nick needs to seriously think about this, weigh the pros and cons of flipping on an alliance he just managed to get into, as well as the potential fallout of such a big swing at just the midpoint of the game.
Would you be willing to make that move?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Tony plays pretty much everything perfectly this round, waiting until minutes before Tribal to tell Michelle and Jeremy who to vote out, and targeting Sophie, who went home with an idol in her pocket. Sophie was such an important person for Tony to vote out because she was usurping his position as Sarah's ride or die. And so by taking her out, Tony ensured that he was the only person on the tribe that Sarah could fully trust. This is basically the mirror universe version of the LJ blindside, with Tony uniting disparate factions against a major player with razor-thin margins. Tony even manages to soothe a very frustrated Sarah the next morning, who says she'll tolerate this blindside, but if he takes her out, she'll be really, really, really mad. That sounds like a fair deal. Tony's second best move is weaponizing his overpowered idol in ways previously unseen in Survivor Cagayan. One of the biggest boons in Tony's game is his ability to locate immunity idols, finding a whopping 3 in Cagayan, including an immunity idol that's more OP than Meta Knight in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. At the merge, Jeff announced to everyone that there would be an idol hidden with quote-unquote special powers, although he declined to reveal what those powers were. These special idols' special powers are actually pretty fantastic, allowing it to be played after the votes are read, making it a get-out-of-elimination free card. And thankfully, Tony found this idol instead of, like, Jeffra.
After you see the votes, you can use it. Everybody's eyes say, bing!
Fans colloquially call this idol the Tyler Perry idol, because Tyler Perry, an apparent fan and friend of Jeff's, gave him the idea to have an idol that is playable after the votes are read, even though this is literally how idols worked in both Exile Island and Cook Islands. Tony not only found 3 idols, but weaponized both his regular idols and his super idol in seriously creative ways. He referred to his bag, which every player is given, as his bag of tricks, inspiring fear in the other players because they never knew what sort of trick exactly was going to be pulled out.
What's in the bag of tricks?
We'll probably find out tonight, Jeff, but it's something to make me feel a little bit more confident here tonight.
He also used the super idol in a rather ingenious way, bluffing that its special power was in fact being usable at the final 4, even though that was not at all the case. Even though Tony's collective 3 idols negated 0 votes the entire season, they didn't need to perform their proper function to be valuable tools. Just their existence in Tony's pocket emboldened him to make creative lies to keep the target off his back, and only a player as manic as Tony could pull off having a bag of tricks and have it come across as convincing instead of posturing. A lesser player would have just used the super idol and have been done with it, but Tony used it for creative bluffs that no one's achieved before or since. Tony's worst move ever is running off into the woods like a madman seconds into Survivor Game Changers.
Hey, you guys do nice. I'm out. I'm looking for the idol. Where's he going? He said I'm out. I'm looking for the idol.
At the start of Game Changers, Tony was already in trouble. He was a popular winner from a recent season, one of only 3 winners on the cast, and up against some players who even questioned why they themselves were on a season called Game Changers. And I'm not kidding. In Haley's pregame press, she wondered why she was even out there. So Tony was a marked man from day one, but if he lays low, plays it cool, and flies under the radar to start, he might be able to survive the first few rounds of the game. He does the opposite of that. The second Mana hits the beach, Tony announces his intention to find an idol and sprints away, leaving the tribe behind to wonder how anyone could think this is good strategy. Giving Tony the benefit of the doubt here, I think he was trying to play on his reputation as an idol finder and was doing this all in good fun. But this is a serious failure to read the room. He managed to recover a bit from this massive stumble in the following days, but the damage was done, and he was sent home second. Tony just couldn't keep pace with a slower game, and literally sprinting out of the gate like Seabiscuit set the stage for an early downfall. Tony's best move across 3 seasons of Survivor is mind-gaming Wu to take him to the final 2 over Cass at the end of Survivor Cagayan. At the final 3 of Cagayan, the only thing standing between Tony and $1 million is a single immunity challenge, which he doesn't exactly have the best track record in, having won 0. When Wu wins the final immunity challenge, his choice is pretty clear to the audience, to Cass, to Tony, to everyone except Wu apparently. If he wants to win, he should take Cass to the final 2. Tony, in some of the greatest manipulation ever seen on this show, somehow convinces Wu that Cass, who is quite reviled by the jury, will somehow beat him in a final 2 vote. His argument hinges on the fact that Wu can't say at Final Tribal Council that he played a loyal game if he votes off his closest ally at Final 3. But, Wu? Remember how Tony blindsided you by voting out your previous closest ally pre-merge? Remember how he constantly flip-flopped on your alliance? That's all you'd have to say at Final Tribal if anyone called you on your apparent lack of loyalty to Tony, which they wouldn't anyway. In Confessional, Tony himself doesn't even buy his own argument, for good reason. It's ridiculous.
Wu has based his game around loyalty, honor, integrity, and so I'm telling him, Wu, final 2, for you to oust me now? You just threw your game plan out the window. Is he buying it? I wouldn't buy it. I'll take my chances with Cass.
Nevertheless, much like how Tina played Colby, Tony convinced Wu to throw away $900,000 by preying on his sense of honor and integrity rather than to trust his own gut. The rest is Survivor history. Wu votes out Cass, takes Tony, and gets blown out at Final Tribal. Ironically, if Wu lost that final immunity challenge to Cass, she takes him to Final Tribal Council and he wins the game. Whoops. For all of Tony's idol plays, spy shacks, nests, and bunkers, and frantic running around on the beach, his best move is good old-fashioned social manipulation. Now let this be a lesson to all of you. Never act honorably. You'll only end up getting made fun of by me. Got nothing else for ya. To help me put an addition on my Spy Shack, like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.